What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. And boy, has it been a minute. Let me just make sure I'm actually coming in on YouTube. I guess I am. So yeah, thanks for tuning in to my channel. It's just a freewheeling type of chat for those in EOS. I did release a video, just some happenings. I did release a video this morning actually, and that was one of the ideas for the Ideathon. So for those that are interested, check out the Ideathon if that's of interest to you. Let's see here. Hopefully I'm coming in okay. I think I am. So yeah, let's start off the discussion. So I think right now we got the Eden elections have just wrapped up and are going through their next, I don't know if they call them seasons or periods. But yeah, I don't know. What does the community think about the Eden structure? You know, I did join Eden, but I've never been a fan of. I guess I, I guess I kind of viewed Eden as a bit of naivety, in a sense that Eden is so decentralized and in a sense of its focus that I just never thought that Eden could accomplish meaningful change on the network. And I always sort of wondered if Eden was structured more as particular scopes that are given or provided by the network operators. So the way I envision that is, as opposed to just having a general Eden, why don't you have working groups of Edens for particular needs that the network, actually needs? Eden right now is it seems like a hodgepodge of different efforts and subjectivity of, the needs of the networks. If you look at such efforts like the EOSBs or EOS support, which kind of flow and have been related to Eden and some of the chief delegates. But, could you argue, for example, that is the absolute need of, really what the network needs at this point? Is it the highest priority of what the network needs? And maybe those folks could make the argument that yes, in their minds, that's what EOS as a network needs. But I think that the track record would, we'd argue that it's probably not where the need is right now. I would tend to argue that more emphasis should be put on, software training type leadership. I know we have the EVM to help support that, but, with the network as small as it is and the resources as limited as they are, I don't know if relying on like a person or a smaller group of people within the network foundation, I meant to say, if that's really the best strategy for success, because you have a limited number of even community members at this point, and you got to quickly ramp up, some of this development to have the ability to be a competitor against, other networks. And in some respects, Eden to me almost comes across as a organism at this point which exists solely to keep itself alive rather than looking at the actual needs of what the users on the network have a need for. As a percentage basis of accounts, for example, one could argue that the participation on Eden and its trajectory doesn't seem to suggest that there's an interest from the community to continue to support it. So, you got to look at things. You got to look at things on a numbers basis, and we're just not seeing that need. And I'm kind of curious to hear what this general community within YouTube who watch my videos about EOS, do you guys have an interest on things like Eden? I'm kind of curious to know if that's an interest for you guys, because I really haven't seen that level of interest. I haven't seen the incentives. People can point to, for example, the the pay, right, that Eden offers. But in order to really gain the interest of talented members of any community, I think you need to set out some actual deliverables that you're looking to accomplish, some technical deliverables that you're looking to accomplish. And I guess there are a couple that maybe some users could point to, but a lot of that seems limited to me, and I'm just kind of curious to know, to understand if I'm the only I guess network user that views Eden that way today. Do you guys think it's a valuable resource for the network, or could it be reinvented or reimagined in some way to maybe have different scopes of focus? So like a developer Eden, what would that look like? Maybe a marketing Eden, that's fine. But now you start to sort of channel the energy in terms of scopes of where they're needed on a network, rather than just have a very non-focused network. And I think that, if you look at some of the things like Eden, I guess Eves had mentioned about ENF, for a long time, you viewed really EOS as depending on, say, block one, and then block one left, or, I guess people could debate block one didn't do their job or didn't really have deliverables. And so for many years, EOS as a network failed in some respects because there was a lack of focus and people were just going in different directions. And so, it's really about engineering trade-offs. People could argue that Eden is great because it's decentralized and there are all these efforts that are going on a simultaneous fashion. But on the other hand, because the community is so small and the resources are so limited, there's really tremendous advantages with channeling your energy, in terms of your talent and the number of users you have, to where the need is, and having measurable deliverables that are based on that. So maybe an Eden based on deliverables, incremental deliverables. And maybe you have, one Eden group or one Eden election cycle, define what those deliverables are. What is reasonable to project as deliverables for the next instance of the Edens, right? And that process sort of repeats itself, where you have this well-defined scope of work for, like, say, chief delegates within these focuses, right? These different disciplines. So whether it's software, UI, marketing, it could be different things. Maybe even hackathons that are reoccurring, right? You're continuously channeling your energy as to where the needs are based on the input of network users. And then you're actually going out during that period and working towards that measurable goal. Like that's kind of what you're targeting as your deliverable. Right now, we don't have the goals defined, so it's not something I can like say has been successful. Like I don't know what I'm actually paying for as a network user. And I think that, many people who had been part of EOS kind of viewed in that same respect. And, to all the Eden chief delegates who might come across this video, I guess my question would be, do you think that your pay exists in a silo? Like, because at some point you need inputs, you need support for your network, right? To actually allow it to continue. And if you don't have capital that's coming into your network and there's greater alternatives, right? There's greater tools out there. Like right now, I don't have consensus solutions to say develop an application that's better on EOS versus a traditional technology. And someone might get offended by that, but that's just the reality. So until there's compelling arguments, like you can be an emotional fan of EOS, but at the end of the day, your ability to remain relevant as an organism, like Eden as an organism, for Eden to remain relevant as an organism, you need to have like actual demand for EOS tokens or for the services on EOS. And I view Eden as one of those, and it hasn't done that. So naturally, even in a bull market, just from the lens of Eden, EOS as a network would underperform other solutions out there because it's a leak in the system. It's leaking energy towards inefficiency, towards non-deliverables, towards a group that are not rendering services, right? And I can't really say that about necessarily Bitcoin. I can't say that about other networks. So, ultimately the talent and capital flow towards those. And I don't know. I'm just kind of, curious to hear that. Joshua Seymour, shout out to him. He says, just tuning in for a moment before my next meeting. Great point on a better incentivizing Eden members. I'd like to see reinvention of Eden with the holacracy structure. Yeah, and it's not necessarily just, incentivizing in terms of pay. It's incentivization in terms of what you're looking to deliver. Because, for me, it just seems like, and no offense to anybody who's, worked very diligently, who's been a chief delegate on Eden. I don't mean this in any way to offend anyone. I'd never do that. But it just comes across sometimes like people want to do a lot of talking just to talk about like the fractal and I've done this and I've done that, and it doesn't really mean anything to anybody outside of those groups. And it comes across as a little bit exhausting in some ways. It comes across very exhausting, and it gets to the point where, I, as a network participant, I would say, start to wonder, is this really the best? Is listening to this and somewhat supporting this network really the best use of my time? Because there's other alternatives out there. And it just seems like the focus and the leadership ignores the community as a whole. And, that hurts. That's painful to think about. This is candid talk right here, because it's been a long journey. It's been many years in EOS, and it's not really about the price, but it's just where the focus is going, where the leadership is, and what they think is important, and really a mutual respect for other network participants, who may be funding this or may hold significant EOS. And like the trade-offs with that, right, are something that people are weighing, and I think the market speaks to that. So I would just, mention that to the leadership, both the ENF and Eden, they keep that in mind, and to really start to provide greater transparency on scheduling and deliverables, because capital, it's not like people have endless amounts of time, or there's a lot of hopium within the markets. People who have funds and capital, they want to put that to work in, and not only capital, they want to put their time into things they think will yield success, not short-term success, not like likes and tweets on Twitter, right? To have some shitty pump. It's about what like engineering solutions you can provide that are superior, versus other types of solutions that are out there. And just having a shill structure, it isn't really unique across other network providers. So if that's your distinguishing mark, that's a failure in my opinion. So what is it that EOS has that's different than, other Gen 3, or, if you want to call it that, Gen 3 blockchains? And this is going to also be controversial. I don't think it's Recovery Plus or those types of things. And I had a debate about this with somebody this week within EOS, who was suggesting that like Recovery Plus is superior over like something that doesn't have Recovery Plus. And I kind of got frustrated because it just seemed like the individual was trying to make the argument, for example, that Recovery Plus is better for users. And I know ENF has made that that argument as well, but it's really not better. It's an engineering trade-off, right? It's a trade-off for the customer. And I think that people within EOS should be more mindful about, the language selection, because it can come across as a little charlatan-like, if I may say, right? The Recovery Plus is a trade-off that users can elect to make, in a sense that Recovery Plus gives the ability for intervening, right, when maybe things don't go as planned within a smart contract. And that's fine. That's fine to say, but I wouldn't say it's actually better. I would say it's a trade-off, because now you're giving up some of the potential security, or you're putting more weight and dependency on the select group of users. And who makes that decision? Because we've seen in previous cases, for example, some, it could be argued some subjectivity on the intervention of a hack, quote unquote, on the network, right? And so it's those in the know, or those more popular on the network, seem to have gained priority on when the intervention occurs. Whereas maybe losses that may be perceived by some as less, maybe they lost only $200, maybe to some people that's not a lot. Like for me, I mean, within blockchain, it's it's the Wild West, and so you have to be open to probably losing everything, right? But for some users, maybe $200 or $1,000 or $5,000 is everything they had, and they lost it all in this hack. And they go to the network and they say, well, what are you going to do about it? And the network says, well, I can't do anything. But when someone else maybe loses a lot of money because of their their influence or their position within the network, there's a different response, right? And so whenever my argument has been, whenever you have humans involved in a decision-making process, it's not necessarily foolproof. It's not necessarily better. It's just it's a trade-off. So I think the network and the leadership should really be mindful of language selection when trying to speak intelligently about solutions they offer. That's all I'm trying to say. So yeah, with that, I'll end my rant on the Eden and the ENF and the Recovery Plus. There is the Ideathon, so for those that are around, I would really encourage you guys to participate in the Ideathon. Watch my video on my idea for the Ideathon, which is one of the ideas I'm looking to present. Hopefully I'll present a couple others and get those submitted. It does take time to, obviously generate a summary and kind of generate a crude UI and video and get that all uploaded to YouTube. And even my last video was probably a little bit long, so hopefully I don't get penalized for that. We'll see how it goes. But it's been fun. I've had a lot of fun doing it. And, it is getting a little bit colder here in the mountains. So obviously you can see the sunshine outside in the back. But soon we'll be having snow. And so I'm trying to take full advantage of getting everything I had on my list done before winter for this asset I'm maintaining in this place I call home. But I'm also looking for, I think at this point, more radical DAOs and real estate DAOs and community DAOs and really what the world has to offer. And I think that's really what I'm setting myself up for my next chapter. I think we're right there. And I think EOS has a unique position to maybe play a role in that. And so I'm hoping to see if others are interested in that, to co-organize those things. I mean, digital assets are great, they're interesting, but I think at the end of the day, you have to also focus in on basics, and getting back to basics. And so I'd love to know what you guys think about that. But in any event, I think I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed my little rants as a EOS pleb. And I'd love to hear if you guys are making videos on EOS or other types of, potentially fundamental changing technologies for humanity, and what some of your ideas are. So with that said, this is Phoenix. I think I'm going to sign off. Hope you guys are having a great day. And